Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We actually have some crypto news to go over today, and we're also going to look at the price charts. So let's go ahead and get straight to it with Bitcoin. And we can see here we closed out red yesterday. This is 2 days in a row, and as it is right now while I'm recording the video, just barely above $78,000. It did drop below this at one point, going down to about $77,650, and since then it's climbed back up. And as you guys can see, this yellow line, this is what I pointed out previously. This is the Fibonacci retracement zone. And I've kept this quite consistent if you do check out my other videos. And lo and behold, we are seeing that being referenced right here. So it closed out yesterday right on that line. It did drop down below at one point, but as far as for the daily candle closure itself, we can see it was right on that line. So this is a very important point to be keeping an eye on. And as it is right now, it is slightly down below that. Volume itself is very, very low. There's not a lot of activity that's going on. And with these pretty wild price swings that are taking place on the day with this low volume, there is potential that we could see some movement taking place. More strongly, I would say so on Monday. Weekends typically end up slowing down. We're still waiting to see what kind of activity is going to happen between Iran, the United States. There's been some pretty wild stuff going on with Israel and over in Russia as well. And so we're just looking at this a little bit bigger here on the bigger picture, I should say. The Bollinger Bands themselves are still staying about the same distance. We're not seeing any real adjustments there. If you zoom out even more, you can see that the Bollinger Bands do have some pretty wild fluctuation moments, like for example back here. When we entered in after January 29th, it really started to expand, and that was actually a decrease in price. Then everything consolidated for a while. That Bollinger Band got really tight, pretty comparable to what we're looking at right now. I'd say that we're a little bit wider than what we were back here, say on March 1st, but we're moving a little bit sideways, and that sideways action then could potentially be led into either a nice run up or a pullback. But you guys can just look at this. Sideways for a while, started to rise, looked pretty optimistic, boom, massive drop. Went sideways for a while, started making a progressive climb. It's holding itself pretty well. The question is, if this goes sideways for a bit, are we going to see another massive drop like we did back here? Or is it going to start to make a nice little rally? We'll have to keep an eye on this. But that $78,000 level, watch that. Another major zone for the Fibonacci at least is all the way up at $96,400. Of course, there's a lot more that you want to try and get through before you reach that point, but definitely keep an eye on those points. All right, now let's go and move on to some crypto related news, and we'll also take a look at the price chart for XRP at the end of the video. With the Clarity Act now through the Senate Banking Committee, industry advocates expect banks to intensify lobbying ahead of a possible full Senate floor vote within weeks. So again, we are looking at the possibility of a Senate floor vote within weeks. So maybe by the beginning of June, we'll already have a nice answer for what's going on with this. I hope it's a good answer, but right now, a lot of people are wondering with lobbying. And when you mix lobbying in with this stuff, it can get really messy. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen there. There could be some shenanigans, let's just say that. Just Token, it has crossed $3.75 billion in real world asset, or RWA, issued directly onto the XRP ledger. This is a real enterprise grade commodity backed assets. That is a lot of money. And as was highlighted here 8 hours ago from X Finance Bull, over $2 billion in electricity is now tokenized on XRP ledger. Not crypto, not DeFi yield, electricity, real energy, real economic value. Absolutely wild. Reports suggest that over $2 billion worth of energy assets have been tokenized on the XRP ledger, as I just mentioned. This is really getting a lot more attention. CME Group had to launch NASDAQ CME Crypto Index Futures led by XRP. We also have CME Group and NASDAQ are officially bringing XRP into a broader institutional crypto futures framework. So XRP has officially been included in the new NASDAQ CME Crypto Index Futures launching on June 8th, less than a month ago, about 3 weeks or so. CME Group is giving institutional traders regulated exposure to XRP through a single market cap weighted crypto futures product. XRP now sits alongside Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana inside a benchmark backed by CME Group and NASDAQ. The futures will be financially settled using the NASDAQ CME Crypto Settlement Price Index, which currently includes XRP. CME says demand for regulated crypto futures products is rapidly increasing, with crypto futures volume up 43% year to date. This marks another major institutional infrastructure milestone for XRP inside traditional finance markets. May 2026. CME and NASDAQ to launch XRP index futures trading on June 8th. And this is more or less what we were just going over here. Live trading scheduled for June 8th. Ahead of the live trading of these crypto contracts, the CME Group will also implement a major operational shift. So starting May 29th, the CME Group will move its cryptocurrency futures and options tradings to an always-on 24/7 schedule. This is a deliberate step to match the 24/7 trading nature of digital assets. Traditional finance is finally starting to catch up to the pace of crypto technology, and this is the clearest example of that. It's also clear that this is a major step for the institutional integration of ISO 20022 compliant tokens. We're talking XRP, XLM, Cardano, into the regulated derivatives market. As the June 8th launch date approaches, market participants await regulatory green lights from the CFTC. The partnerships between CME and NASDAQ represents a powerful synergy of technical expertise and market dominance, likely paving the way for further institutional adoption of decentralized technologies. This data is sourced directly from CME Group and NASDAQ official reports, and they have that documentation below. Costco, now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Costco is warning that they are seeing significant changes in customers' buying habits. Less beef, more chicken, tuna, store brands. They say this is a signal of severe economic stress that they haven't seen since 2007. For those of you guys that know, 2008, housing market crisis, the crash, leading right up to that. Yeah, not a great sign from Costco. Chinese holdings of U.S. Treasuries, they have fallen to their lowest level since the global financial crisis. Again, not a great sign. And Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 27. Fear, so we're dropping even lower now for Bitcoin. Cross River Bank linked to Ripple since 2014 is now officially involved with X Money. Central banks are absolutely losing control of global inflation. This according to Bull Theory over on Twitter. Inflation is now rising in 27 out of 29 major countries at the same time. This is one of the broadest inflation surges the world has seen since the pandemic. Oil above $100 because of the Iran war is making it even worse. Every country that imports oil is now importing inflation through the Strait of Hormuz. Central banks that already hiked are hiking again. The ones that paused are reversing course. The Fed still has not moved, while U.S. inflation is now at 3.8% and climbing again. The last time central banks called inflation temporary, U.S. inflation eventually surged to 9%. And when we take a look at this chart right here, the CPI inflation, you can see the United States is at 3.8%. The trend versus the prior reading is labeled as higher, and yes, most of these are higher. We can see ones that are above the U.S., such as Brazil at 4.4%, Mexico at 4.5%. Theirs actually went lower. You have Australia, 4.6%. Russia, 5.6%. Theirs is lower. Philippines at 7.2%. And then this is crazy. Turkey, 32%. That's a huge increase compared to the last one. And Argentina at 32%. They actually came down a little bit for Argentina. Really crazy numbers. All right. And a little bit on this. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. Here's why a crypto flip of a switch price surge can actually happen. The structure of the crypto market makes rapid price expansion not just possible, but highly realistic. The moment regulatory clarity arrives, the market response does not need to wait. Crypto trades 24/7. Unlike traditional financial markets, there are no exchange opening bells or overnight pauses delaying price discovery. There's no waiting for Monday morning. There is no gap between a policy announcement and market reaction. New information can be reflected in prices within minutes, regardless of the time of day. That changes everything. We are moving forward into a new era, and having that accessibility means that a lot of things can be more dramatic in a short amount of time. And let's go ahead and take a look at XRP's price real quick. We have two red candle closures, and right now just barely in the green, essentially flatline. And what's really interesting, let's go and zoom out a little bit here. You have these blue lines, which I drew yesterday in my video, and we have a nice structured level of support here, 3 instances, and that was from the previous day. And on the new day formation, as we zoom in, you can see it's still fitting within that, getting pretty close, that bottom wick, not quite touching it, but pretty close. And what is a possibility is moving sideways here as we get closer and closer to the most critical point on June 5th. So yes, things can end up moving downwards before then. It could end up coming back as a fake out. We've seen stuff like that take place where you're essentially looking like, oh, okay, there's the trend. It's forming down there. Psych, going right back into a consolidated channel and then leading all the way closer to June 5th, or potentially widening out that bottom line a tad bit. And it could also make a nice little rally. But as it is right now, things are still pretty pessimistic overall. Let's just be for real. I am trying to be optimistic, but looking at the price charts and what's going on in world economics, it's pretty abysmal out there. So hopefully things start to show a little bit more signs of life. And that's what I got for you guys. Now, if you do want to check out a crypto exchange called BTCC, I have a referral link in the description below. They have over 300 crypto futures. They've been around for 13 years, up to 250x leverage, and there's no VPN or KYC required to get started. You can get a 10% deposit bonus if it's above $500. And again, if you guys want to research this more, if you want to get started, you can find that down below. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you to my YouTube members. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.